able to find one in the X one with the next 3 shots.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Midwest R6 Spring Season 2023. My name is Power of this, so I'm here for the first time, joined by my lovely friend Bate. And today we have the semifinals match between Illinois Orange and Ohio State Gray. Bate, why don't you tell us a little bit about these two teams?
Yeah, so 2 teams that a lot of people will be very familiar with in the collegiate scene. Obviously, you got Snail Inco for Illinois Orange, and you've got the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Servin. So we'll take a look at the bracket, see how both teams got here. UIUC in the upper bracket, beating SIU, MSU Green, making light work out of those guys 2-0 in both of their matches. And then Ohio State in the lower bracket, beating Scar, and then 2 wanting Trine. We saw that last week in a very close matchup. So coming here is the number 1 and number 4 seeds today. So looking a little bit more at the teams, we can see Illinois Orange led there, and we can see Snail on the right side. We got the other guys who really just carry Snail. We see who's going to be our MVP of the night, 1.77 KD, 152.18 SPR. And I mean, he's just an absolute beast, absolutely crazy fragger. So be on the lookout for that guy. We'll take a look at Ohio State Gray now. Obviously, they're led by Servin, right? You see 1.18 KD, followed up by Nateflix and Mamba. So talking about Servin a little bit, he's going to be that MVP for the Ohio State side. 92 kills, 78 deaths, 1.18 KD, former CR6 champion. So really good player there, really experienced player there. So after this, we'll take a little bit of a look at the map vetoes. And Power, why don't you talk a little bit about what we got in the map veto portion of this?
Of course, we do, in fact, have a couple of maps that you don't tend to see all too often. No Oregon, no Clubhouse, two mainstays. We do have Villa as our starting map, a map that has been played more and more as of recently, and I feel like some teams starting to get a little bit bored of playing it so much. It's starting to get figured out just a little bit, but you can see some surprising strategies you don't see all too often. Skyscraper being our follow-up map, one of my personal favorites, although I do recognize it does have its flaws, but that's what makes it so special. You could see so many unique strategies coming out from these teams when it comes to defending and attacking this site. It makes things interesting every single time. And of course, if we do need to go there, rounding things out with Chalet, another one of my personal favorite maps, similarly to Skyscraper, it's just so versatile in terms of what you can do. Although, in terms of it being a little bit more figured out, I'd say it leans closer to that side than, say, Skyscraper does. It's been the rotation a little bit longer. So, overall, say an amazing map lineup. I'm hoping we get all three, but it's been 2-0 City so far in these playoffs, so it'd be a bit surprising if it did end up going that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see a team like UIUC who's just been rolling over everyone they play. Obviously, the odds-on favorite to win this league this year, and I believe they did win last year as well. So just titans of the scene, really. Ohio State is going to have to really come out and do some really good things. I find the skyscraper pick to be really interesting because not a lot of collegiate teams actually have developed strats for those maps, and not a lot of teams are very comfortable on it. Ohio State, a team that is very gun heavy, very gun skill heavy, could be a team that really flourishes on that map. UIUC also having the gun skill to match it might even things out. So we'll see how that map plays out. I feel like Villa is a very much comfort pick for UIUC, so I see them very much winning that map. And then Chalet being the decider, I do think we go 3 maps, and I think Chalet will be extremely close. I know Ohio State in general really loves Chalet, really loves to run that map, and actually beat Trine in that best of 3 last week on Chalet. It was 8-7, very, very close map, but at the end of the day, one team's got to win, and it was Ohio State. So we'll get to hopefully the start of the game here in a little bit. We're waiting on a couple players to join up. But Power, what are your predictions for this matchup here between UIUC and Ohio State?
Well, of course, we do have the undefeated team Illinois coming in here, one that has so far looked very, very dominant in these playoffs, or at least so far as what I've heard. And well, you did mention how Ohio they can be very frag heavy, but so can the players in Illinois. Every single one of them has above a 1.0, and the lowest one is a 1.24. That in itself is a really good KD, and there are players like who have a 1.77. That's absolutely absurd. It just means that they're just absolutely cleaning the house with all of the teams they're going up against. And who knows, maybe the competition just isn't up there, and maybe we see Ohio State give them that trouble and actually take it to them and finally knock them down. But it's certainly not the easiest position to be in, as even if Ohio State, if they like gunning, it's certainly just from these stats alone, you have to take away that certainly Illinois are looking to just come in here and frag. And that can, like you mentioned, happen a lot on maps like Chalet, like Skyscraper, where the strategies on defense aren't as sound, and it can sometimes come down to just bad positioning occasionally. Maybe someone makes a few mistakes, not really realizing their strategy, or just going for a play on attack, for example, that just completely botches because of the fact that you don't really know how to play this, as there are not as many safe strategies, which is a lot of what like maps like Clubhouse and Oregon that we're not going to be seeing. A lot of them are safe strategies that are almost guaranteed to, with minimal resistance, give you some type of value. And you don't see a ton of those happening on maps like Skyscraper and Chalet. Again, like I said, we're going to see a bit of that in Villa, and I like having that first because we get to see the kind of basic fundamentals of these teams and then see what happens when things get scrappy later on, especially when it gets to Chalet. I feel like that map can sometimes be an absolute wreck house if teams are not prepared to deal with the strategies that each one brings out.
Absolutely. And to your point, these teams do have some history of battling it out. And I believe Ohio State has defeated UIUC in CEA Open in the past. So these are 2 teams that I believe have traded blows. I believe they're even against each other uh, over most of the leagues that they compete against in. So we'll see if Ohio State can repeat here. I know if any team in this bracket can do it, it's either going to be Ohio State or UW in the finals next week. By the way, prediction UW next week will make the finals. So, Ohio State, you see guys like Servin, who will be playing this week, who have played on Ohio State's main roster, which competed in CR6, but not in Midwest R6. And this roster, though, was the roster to beat them in CEA, so that's why I bring it up. And then, UIUC, you talked about being such a huge gunner. I played with a lot, and his talents are amazing. The guy's got insane fundamentals, insane aim, and he's just a very aware player. A guy like Cal, who's just a really good lurker, really good fragger. Lore, a very smart hard support. Snail is Snail sometimes, and then Nano's just a really good. He's really good on that soft support role. So we'll see what both of these teams bring to the table. Personally, I've played with a lot of these guys, and I know a lot of what they can do and a lot of what they bring to the table. And I know it's going to be a really close matchup, especially, when you do pick a map like Villa, as a comfort pick, most of the time you are starting on the attacker side, which is very, very hard. Collegiate in general tends to move towards a defender sided meta more so than something like Pro League or CL, where, maybe the difference in attacker and defender wins is something like 55-45 or 60-40. In collegiate, it's exacerbated, more like a 70-30, 75-25 kind of split. So, with that being said, Villa, might be a little bit dicey for OSU, or for not for OSU, but for UIUC in the beginning, starting off in the attack. So it's very important that they come out strong in the attack on Villa if they want to make sure that they take this fast and they make it easy like they have been over the past couple matches.
You mentioned earlier your predictions for the upcoming matches, but I want your prediction for this one. I can't really say just because I only have the stats in front of me. I haven't played with these players. I haven't seen them really perform. It's my first time here. I'm just getting comfortable. But you've seen a lot more than I have. So if you had to choose one of these teams, which one is taking this thing home and moving on? Which or and maybe not even which one do you think? Which one would you like to be? I think I might know the answer to that. So I would prefer the other one, but I'll take whatever one I can get.
If you want the realistic position, I believe it's at 2-1 in favor of UIUC. I just see them struggling a lot on Skyscraper, and then Chalet. When we get there, is going to be a very even matchup. It's going to be a huge toss up in my opinion, but I think UIUC, their experience just wins the day. What would like to see is a 2-1 for Ohio State. I love underdog stories, and I believe Servin and Mamba are very capable, very competent players, but they would have to move mountains in order to beat a team like UIUC that has that fragging potential across the board. And some of these guys have been known to drop the ball a little bit on Ohio State in terms of the frag department. So everyone kind of needs to show up. It needs to be a whole team effort in order for Ohio State to take it home. But if there's going to be anyone to do it, it's got to be Ohio State. Definitely got to be Ohio State. So that's my prediction is realistically 2-1 UIUC, but we would all love to see the 2-1 underdog Ohio State.
Well, the stats definitely seem to back that up, and we should be ready to go relatively shortly. We didn't mention earlier, but it does look like that starting out, Ohio State, they are going to be starting things out on defense for Villa. So they get to be the ones that kind of show us their stuff. And I guess, we haven't really gotten into it immediately, but quite frankly, we've talked quite a bit about the stats and all of that. So my question is moving into what you think will come into the map. Obviously, you say, like you said, these teams. What do you think the bands are going to look like? Do you think we're going to get some standard bands, or yeah, obviously you said is Villa's a comfort pick. So would we see some comfort bands maybe coming out, or maybe some more targeted bands as well to try to just get rid of some things off the board, or what do you think is more likely from these teams?
I think you're going to see a lot of comfort bans. Honestly, I see Ohio State banning either Mira or Solus, something along those lines. I see a Jackal. I see a Thatcher going off the board. Nothing too crazy. But as I say that, we are going into our first map. Villa, UIUC starting on the attack, Ohio State starting on the defense. But like I said, I expect something like a Thatcher or a Jackal to be banned. Nothing too crazy. They're not gonna go insane. Maybe a Flores. Flores would probably be about as wild as it would get, but I don't really anticipate many crazy things from these teams.
Now, starting things out, UIUC is going to go ahead and ban Nook, an operator that has been slowly but surely creeping up in the banned operators chart. Just a little bit more every season. Just a very powerful operator. Those frag grenades, a decent gun, and a gadget that has a lot of potential, really, and it's just something that a lot of defending teams don't really want to do with. And that ban is going to be complemented by the good old Thatcher ban operator that has been banned less and less recently, especially with the introduction of the impact EMPs, but is still very versatile. That range that they get, as well as having those three EMPs, is just absolutely so valuable. And having a Thatcher ban, not the most common anymore, but I think it is a good choice.
Absolutely. And you see Azami here getting banned out on the defense. Very important for some of these extended site setups. Very important for places like AV Games where you can just kind of sit and study behind your Azami barricades and play much more aggressive than you normally would be able to be, especially in somewhere like the bathroom for Trophy Statue. And then you see Ohio State banning Valkyrie. Nothing crazy there. Not wanting those cams that are always prevalent here on Villa. Valkyrie can be very, very powerful in gathering information here and getting those nitro kills from below, since most of the floors across the map are soft.
One thing that is left unbanned after these bans is, of course, going to be the defensive powerhouse of Mira. She is going to potentially actually make things very, very difficult for the attackers if they do decide to bring her, as she can get a lot of very powerful site setup on sites like Aviator Games. However, we're not going to be heading there first. Instead, we're going to be heading over to Trophy Statuary, a site that, at least in recent times in my experience, has slowly but surely become more and more of a site that teams prefer to go to less and less. And I'm surprised to see it be coming out first from OSU. Typically, you see Aviator Games first, at least, and then this one second, if anything. But seem to be changing things up, changing the mold. I must say, I'm quite interested to see how well this will work out for them.
Yeah, this kind of strat does befuddle a lot of teams that like to take direct, which a team like UIUC does like to take direct. They like to dumb things down, make it as easy as possible for everyone to get their jobs done and really isolate those frags. And so I think you'll see them go direct here onto the trophy and master side of things. And so as you can see right now, them working direct with the Flores and the Hibana for the hard breach. So slowly but surely, getting up to the master balk, they will eventually get to work on the setup. But I imagine that this defense is going to be really good at burning time. So it's up to that UIUC side to find these frags. Servan, always on the lurk, is going to be down there in the basement, trying to find any attackers unawares. The Flores drones will start raining out, breaking those castle barricades, trying to create those sightlines, which will be very powerful for the attackers sitting on the balcony, able to find this castle if they can get the timing right. But Castle will be playing behind that reinforcement in Trophy, hoping to catch someone jumping in the closet, maybe catch a couple of those Flores drones as they get the second castle. Cow taking a couple shots out there, getting down and killed by Mamba. So Mamba finds the opening pick on the round. They're in the basement. There's Cow on the lurk. Now, heading into the last minute 30, minute 45 of this round, UIUC looks a little befuddled by the setup.
A very interesting setup, I will agree. Only having that one middle wall and then completely leaving a castle right there to just get potentially shot if this wall gets open. They're going to have to either lay down or make a run for it, which I hope they will do, but at least for the meantime, they are choosing to stick their guns. And it's Mamba with a second opening pick as they play down by the red stairs, trying to pick up any stragglers that come in here. It is interesting. Zajok is going to be the one that's running the anti-denial, but it's not actually going to be the smoke as you're used to. It's instead going to be over towards this recently bumped Tachanka, an operator that, at least in my opinion, is a bit insignificant just compared to the power that comes from smoke and the versatility that comes with it. But nonetheless, is decided to be on the board so far, hasn't gotten too much value. But that's not for the lack of anything that they've done. It's just because of the fact that the players on OSU are just absolutely taking it to these attackers. Only lower left, and well, speaking of that Tachanka, they get the final kill and pick off the round. A very impressive opening first round for the defenders.
Yeah, I mean, you just see a team like UAUC is definitely going to try to dumb things down and go direct and not make things very hard for their team. But when you go into a setup like that, you immediately make things very hard for your team. So Snail, as the IGL's got to recognize that that setup is made exactly for how they're gonna attack things, and say, hey guys, we should probably go study over. There's probably not gonna be a whole lot there. But instead, they throw themselves into the meat grinder, and fortunately, they found themselves as a sausage. So going into the next round, Ohio State taking it. They're up 1-0, moving into AV games. You see a couple of those necessary picks. You've got the Cade for the vault and the study wall. You've got the Goyo for the denial for late for statue, or that little skull lady head thing that's in the corner. And then you've got Solus, which is very huge for late round denial if she's able to stay alive that whole time. So Ohio State again, really just doing all the little things right, picking the right ops, and their setups are gonna win them the day if they play it. If UIUC keeps attacking the way that they are right now.
And of course, big shout out to players that are playing on this roam very, very effectively. We saw Mamba on the Jaeger last round just absolutely take it to anyone who tried to push into the map, or excuse me, into the actual building itself. instead of going through the main way that all the other players were, they tried to go in through a side angle. Well, they had Mamba right there to try to take them out. And of course, we did see a run out down through basement that did net themselves at least one kill. And once again, we see huge roam game happening. Mamba now playing on the Solus is roaming, as well as Servant. And once again, that Jaeger roam can be so powerful in the right hands. It just seems like they're not really wanting to give any of the players on the side of UIUC any space at all. Instead, just opting to completely shut out most areas, not all areas of the map. Although, well, we are going to see them putting a little bit of pressure onto these top main stairs, as right now Flores drones and Ash charges coming through. Unfortunately, not finding anything, but the potential is still there for it to be huge.
Ah, there you see Cal just busting through the wall like the Kool-Aid man, taking out Servant, who was unaware that Cal would be pushing so quickly. Normally, you know, there would be a drone following it. But Cal quick on the gun up. Ah, finding one onto Nate Flicks. That's your alibi and your Jaeger down. Not a lot of utility down, but those are two bodies that you need. As Mamba finds one on the flank onto Nano. Will he find Cal, who's waiting in the wings there in Library? No, he will not. 2v4 in favor of the attackers as Cal gets another one on the lurk. Goyo here. Z-Jock sitting and steady, waiting for the top main player. That'll be Ah who finds him. Taking a fight there. Toaster taking some grenade damage as Ah takes out Z-Jock and steady. It's a 1v4. Toaster finding one in the refrag onto Ah, but Snail finishes out the round on Toaster in Vault. A flurry of kills to finish that out for UIUC, and the round count is evened up.
Was not entirely sure how so many players on site got caught out of position. It seemed like that they heard that there was some pressure going on down below and decided they wanted to adjust their attention to try to counter that, but instead got picked off by the players playing on that study balcony and just gave up a little bit too much positionings, did not play good enough to actually win out those gunfights, or they got caught off guard. We saw it happen twice as well in library, nearly the exact same position, getting caught off guard. Bit humorous if it wasn't for they did end up losing that round. So with that, UIUC, they do end up taking that one, and now they're gonna just Ohio, they're gonna decide to go right back to where they were. Are deciding to change things up a little bit. We are seeing a interesting choice in my opinion, that being the Frost. And now I'm personally a very big Frost fan. She's my babe, but I don't necessarily think this is the greatest site for her. There's not a ton of windows. Maybe the 90 window is a decent place, but I seem to be mainly putting them on the stairs. Buddy, I'm all for some of those trick placements of the frost mats, but I feel like that's probably gonna get drawn. I doubt that's gonna get anyone.
Yeah, oh no,
Oh,
you see Servant taking out Mamba. That's your Solus going down before the round even starts, before any drones have been shot. So getting absolutely and claiming that he had a skin, saving his own skin is Servant. So we will see what kind of effect that has in the round. What a calamity of errors for Ohio State here in these last two rounds. So you see starting out the round, UIUC is deciding to flip it up and go for a map clear from trophy side. You know, I'm very interested to see if UIUC has the drone work to find all of these Capcan traps, as I believe the traps are a pretty good option there for Ohio State, given that I don't really think the drone work of UIUC is that great, but I could be wrong, as Yana just shot two Capcan traps, so there's going to be nothing doing there. You see the Lion and the Jackal pushing up here towards connector, looking to work towards that 90 and landing area. You do see a shield from the defenders looking towards 90. It'll be gotten there by the Flores drone. You've got an ace here on the window. No one there to really connect with it, and then you've got Ace opening up the vault well. So good things happening. Cow taking out Nate Flicks. That's another good thing that happens there for UIUC. So now into a 3v5. The man count now even more in the favor of UIUC, as Toaster is able to refrag that one onto Cal. So that will be your lion down, but I believe all three calls were wasted. So if anything, just some flashes, or actually no, he did have impact EMPs. So used all of his utility, not that crazy of a trade. As you actually see Servant pushing up 90, taking out Snail unaware. That's your Flores down. It's now evened up into a man count of 3v3 here with a minute left in this round to go.
and we are seeing right Now, Nanovirus playing on that Ayana is below with nades, could potentially be huge, or the flank could be big as well. But no, it's the nades. They're going to toss them up, and a bit of damage on the toaster, but unfortunately, no kill. And now the players on the side of OSU are a little bit worried. They're going to try to start rotating around. Unfortunately, no kills for those nades, but a little bit of damage will make things a little bit easier for the cleanup potentially. Some drone work happening right now will put the players on UIUC in a decent position, except for the fact that the time's not in their favor. They have 20 seconds left. They need to get pushed in. Here we are seeing them push up onto the study balcony as Oz starting to push in. Here, Zajock gets one, and Oz is able to get the refrag down to 2v2. They grab the diffuser. They're going to have to start pushing in. Here, unfortunately, they do not find the angle, and they get shot out. Now it's all down to a 1v2, and unfortunately, Nanovi just can't find anyone. They're having to run straight in the side, and they get shot by Toaster with the TCSG, playing inside a vault. A crisp headshot to close out the round and give another win to the defenders.
Yeah, just some really good stuff there from Ohio State. Just really staying patient, really managing to have some really well-timed aggression. You see, heading into that 3v5, you got Netflix getting picked off on book. They really didn't just throw their bodies away. Toaster just waited until Cal over-aggressed there towards 90, shot him, and then Servin finding a good timing push there on the 90, finding Snail, evening up the man count into a 3v3, waiting for the attackers to execute onto landing into study. That's huge. Setting up the crossfires that they needed, realizing that they're in a plus position with the attackers having to actually plant the diffuser. So really good stuff there from Ohio State after a disastrous start to the round.
Now, well, they can go ahead and head back to their favorited bomb site, that being on Trophy and Statuary, where they won in a pretty convincing fashion, was almost flawless if not for a few last-second kills that ultimately didn't really matter, as the round pretty handily was in the favor of OSU. And their strategy seems to be very similar, although once again, we do have Servant playing on the Frost, which, while the Frost itself didn't necessarily get the most amount of value in that round, their gun skill certainly was helpful in winning things out for them. And this is one of the sites where I think that Frost can be very valuable. There are a ton of Frost maps, but once again, they're putting them on the stairs. I trust me, I love doing this in ranked, not when I'm playing in the semifinals of the tournaments, because these players, we saw them checking for Cavcan tracks. Not a single one of them got hit. They're going to be checking for these frostbites as well. And Mamba, oh my lord, how does he get away with that? What just happened?
Oh my lord, Servant also finding one onto Snail. Mamba with the Mamba mentality, just deciding I'm gonna run in here and find a kill, and then absolutely toasting Cal inside of Laundry. I mean, really, that's just not supposed to happen, as you see. Actually, it was not Cal, it was Nano, so Cal actually finding the refrag there on the Mamba. Mamba overstaying his welcome a little bit. Should have just gone back up those red stairs and considered the round one, but instead feeding a frag onto Cal there on the lurk. So Cal will try to find some nades from below. Netflix hoping to catch Cal trying to lurk up the stairs, but instead he himself will look a little further down, as they seem to be getting a yellow ping onto Cal's position. His teammate's trying to coax Netflix into peeking him here on the corner. Will he find the frag? Yes, he will. That's Netflix finding Cal inside of China, bringing this into a 2v4 in a very familiar position to the last round, as Netflix finds not again with the Nitro, similar to the first time these guys played Trophy Statue, as Lore again stuck on the balcony, very similar to the first time, as he tries to bat in a 1v4, but Z-Jack with the P90 will find him on the balcony, and Ohio State take a pretty convincing round 4.
And with that, OSU have managed to get themselves at the very least an even half, as we see them now being forced to head down to dining room and kitchen. A site that I feel like is pretty it's a pretty good site. It has its flaws, of course. The amount of vertical play you have to do in order for you to hold it, I think, is not to be underestimated. But at the very least, I think that with the way that OSU have been playing, with the amount of roam game that they have been able to show from us, and how successful it has been in these rounds. I mean, we saw Mamba doing an absolute repair early on in the round, I feel like that we could continue to see more of that happening as the rounds progress. And once again, we are going to be seeing them choosing to run these trap operators that have not yielded the most amount of success, that being the Capcan and the Frost. They have been effectively droned out by UIUC. That is one thing I will give them a lot of compliments on, is their ability to effectively clear out all of these traps and not be caught up by them. However, they are going to have to deal with the Echo being brought up by Toaster, which is a pick that could potentially be huge, if not for the fact that IQ is on the board and will most likely just completely shut that down.
Yeah, having IQ on the board here on a site like this, it doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense to bring an Echo, as Nano's actually taking some damage there, presumably from a spawn peak, but we didn't quite catch it yet. But yeah, a lot of teams will run a pulse here, and so as a result, a lot of teams run an IQ. So it doesn't actually make sense to run an operator like Echo that relies on teams not bringing an operator like IQ and not having great drone work. And like you mentioned, no one has taken any Capcan trap damage. No one's been down by a frost mat. You've been running him for the past 3 rounds. Maybe it's time to put those down in favor of maybe like a Jaeger for the 2 shields that you have up, or Oh My for the 2 shields that you have up that have no nade denial against a team that has 2 Gone 6s and 2 sets of nades. So we will see how that progresses for both teams in the round. This Cow sitting here on the Astra balcony having a hard time shooting the Echo drone there, but looks like the Echo drone actually was taken out by the IQ. Mamba finding Cow there on the Astra window. That's a huge pick from the Solo. Says trades on to Servant. That's your Frost down, and they are seeing Mamba yellow pinging him. He is dead and out. On a tear this round, having 2 kills. Looking for these Echo drones. This IQ scanner will be able to gain so much information for the attackers on the gadgetry the defenders have set up. But, having this Buck up, Buck is going to have to start to get working as you have a minute 30 left in the round. Actually start to put some pressure on these defenders here on the site. They do have 2 nitros available, so if they are able to if they are able to catch this Buck unawares, they might be able to take this round in their favor.
So far, a lot of control upstairs, but they need to start making their way down. Snail currently is outside of laundry, and they are going to have Nanovirus drop a clone down to get some intel. And they do find out there's a mute on that door, but not the most surprising thing to have found. They need to capitalize off that intel with the vertical play from above. They know that they're there. They just need to go and clear them out. And they see the feet. The pings are coming through, but they just can't find them. They completely disappear from their sight, and they back up to hold a different angle. And now, with 30 seconds left, they're deciding, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and drop down Laundry Hatch. And they do indeed, with, we see here, Cow pushing up and starting things out. Some damage going through from the teams as Toaster swings with the newly buffed shotgunning. Downs 1. Snail gets downed as well. And now a 3v2. The swing comes through and Lore is able to get 1, but there's still 2 more players alive as Zajac is currently very low. The only player left in sight as Nate is off site, and Lore's going to start planting the diffuser. The cover from Nano, no kills to their name. They're looking to change that here by getting 2 more, and they get Zay. Is now it's all down to Nate Flick, who does have the C4. Unfortunately, does not find any thing is they have to drop the laundry hatch. They hear that. They have to. The swing comes through. Unfortunately, finds nothing. And now Nate swings as well, but they know that they're close. And they get the kill, but it's Lore from behind. Jumped out the window and was able to get the back angle and secure that round for the attackers.
Lore coming up absolutely clutch in that round. Able to find the player on the Tetris door there, and then able to actually plant the diffuser, go and res Snail, and then find that backstab for the last frag on the mute who dropped down and found the kill onto Cow inside of Laundry. So really good work there from Lore to win the round. I will say Zajac did have a nitro there on China, and Cow was not in a position to cover the nitro. So if Zajac just kind of tosses a little nitro over to Tetris and actually lands, which he did toss a nitro, but he threw that all the way across the room into the corner, he would have been able to save the round. So unfortunate there for Zajac trying to save the round there for the nitro. But nonetheless, UIUC find their second attacking round, which is crucial here on a map like Villa, where you need at least that 4-2 split on the attacking half, so they at least accomplish that. and they're looking to find their second attacking round here on AB Games, which went really well for them one time and went really bad for them another time, even after Ohio State gifted them a Solus team kill before the round even started, before Solus had even destroyed a drone. So we'll see what these teams will craft up here as we see Servant on the spawn peak. I actually love doing this peak, but he's going to be a little late on it and not catch out Nano. I believe if he was on there for a second longer, he would have been able to find him. But nonetheless, nothing going too crazy there. And is that a Goyo sitting in the tub inside a bathroom? There's no way, right? There's no way they don't catch this. They have a jackal.
Yeah.
They have to see the feet. There's no way. He jumps in. Oh my god. Oh
Um,
my lord. That was so close there from Z-Jock. Probably just moving a little bit too early as UIUC is able to find the first pick in this round somehow.
yeah, you gotta drone out that tub, or I guess you don't if your name is an exclamation and you just kind of hop in and win gunfights. Not a single tick of damage done either, which is absolutely insane. And I was gonna mention that is playing on that jackal, which does mean that they do have the opportunity to potentially find out some of these roamers and take them out, as that has been a big thorn in the side of these players. But unfortunately, at least for the time being, that hasn't been too big of a deal. Although, as I say, that Mamba, who is playing inside of the master bedroom, is going to go ahead and find one. Unfortunately, once again gets another. We do see some kills flying back and forth, and now we're in a 3v2 with Cal taking quite a bit of damage. But the scan, there's still at least one left, and one was just used. Although Toaster's position has been fully revealed by those drones, they're not even going to bother to stand still, but they still have plenty of utility. They do still have at least a couple of Goyo canisters, but the players on UIUC are in prime positions, and Toaster swings for some reason, and Odd get the triple, and now it's all down to Nate, who is able to get one, but they got to back out real quick, as they're in quite a tough position right now, but they don't know, but is able to react in time, fire some shots, and well, now with that, Nate has to run all the way back, and with the diffuser in hand, they have to run straight to the fire. I'm not sure who popped that, but the diffuser should get down relatively soon.
Yeah, I believe it was Cal that actually popped the Goyo as Ah was running through the door. So now both players on low HP. You see Cal getting taken down by the Buzzsaw, the MX4 Storm. It's a 1v1. Will Nate be able to find the timing here on the Jackal? Searching for him as Ah swings to the study door and is able to find Nate Flicks. So an even half achieved here for UIUC on their map pick, and that's a 4K there from Ah. Absolutely insane stuff from him as he's 10 and 5 on the map.
Amazing work to finish out that round. It was a little bit close at the end there, definitely a lot closer than those players would have liked it to be. But as you mentioned, they do manage to take it 3-3. And now UAUC, they get to go on your defensive side. And I know you mentioned this earlier. I don't remember if it was on broadcast, but these teams, they love their defensive sides. They absolutely adore being on the defensive side. That's where they feel the most comfortable. It's where they feel the most successful when it comes to them winning out these rounds. And well, we did mention the statistical powerhouse that is UIUC earlier. The chances are they are going to start mopping the floor unless OSU has some really good strategy to potentially shut them out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if we really look at the KDs here from both sides, you can see the only one who is really positive there on the side of UIUC is Ah. He's kind of carrying the load there at 10 and 5. Cal's at 5 and 5, but everyone else, Lore, Nano, Snail, all negative. There's 5 kills in between those 3 players and 20 or 15 rather between Ah and Cal. When you look at the side of Ohio State, a much more even scoreline. You've got Nate Flicks going 7 and 5. You've got Mamba 6 and 5, Servant 4 and 3, Z-Jock 3 and 4. So everyone very close to even, a much more even distribution. So going on to this side, onto the defensive side, I predict this to be a very much closer half than we think in terms of it being defender-sided. Unless these players from UIUC pick it up, I think Ohio State can start to snowball some rounds if they're able to isolate the right frags.
The potential is there, but so far, UIUC not off to the greatest start, as the Twitch is already making quick work of their defenses, with a Goyo canister getting taken off the board, with a little bit of damage onto Lord, not the biggest deal in the world. They'll survive, or they won't, as Servants are already all the way by bench, and they get a quick kill onto Lore, who was swinging there for some reason. I guess they heard a little bit of intel or something or other, and they get that kill, or at the very least, Servant does, to make their stat lines a little bit better and also open things up for OSU in this half. And while they do take a little bit of damage from Snail through the drone hole, they will not find a kill. Instead, it's going to be Nanovirus, who does end up getting their second frag onto Nate, who suppose there was one player trying to push up those main stairs and, well, unfortunately did not check their back. The drone work so far has been a little bit interesting. I haven't seen a ton of it. And I feel like that kill down below was definitely the result of some poor drone work, sadly. And while we do have some good drone work from Twitch, you're gonna need some intel drone work, not some destruction of utility drone work, to really take care of all of the attackers and defenders and all the positions they're playing in.
Yeah, I'm really confused here on the side of the defense, but the attackers, they're not confused. They're pushing it right in the sight as Toaster with the Ying getting the plant down on default. The Cade of Snail able to get the Nitro there, deny the plant. It's a 3v2 in favor of the defenders. Sled pushing in, trying to take the fight onto Snail. Snail will get that second frag on the round. It's a 1v3 Z-Jock, all left to do. The smoke isolating with those smoke grenades. 40 seconds left. He's got to find all 3 of these frags. And with the crossfires set up, it's looking very do or die. He does have 30 seconds. He does have a bullet hose in the F2, but he's going to have to make some magic work as he's pre-firing. Finds one on accident, finding Nano in the rotate. Probably the most unlucky player in the server right now. But it is the smoke able to find the frag there onto Twitch. And kind of a confusing round there from Ohio State. You know, I saw earlier in the round the Yana clone actually did walk into bar and clear the entirety of bar. Seeing no one in books either as well or no setup, that normally would mean Servant kind of has the green light to walk in, but a little bit hesitant there and was unable to really capitalize on that and walk in and try to take the site. But nonetheless, like you mentioned, Ohio State's drone work maybe not all there. Maybe not all the information was necessary for Servant to make that decision. And as a result, having to force the plant, Snail able to land the Nitro there on the vault. And UIUC take their 4th round.
A very clutch nitro from Snail to went out that round as well. Just a little bit of a misplay coming off from OSU, sadly. And, well, UIUC, they managed to take it for the first time on this map, by the way. They have so far either been tied or behind. And while they do manage to just barely take it, they of course have to hold on to their leads. We head over to Trophy Statuary with once again another roam game coming out from, well, Cow this time around, but of course, another roam from the Soulless. However, Mamba immediately bringing the Jackal to shut that down as well. We are seeing IQ, which is a counter, of course, to Soulless, but Soulless also countered IQ, so might be a little bit of back and forth going on there if they're not careful.
Yeah, Cal notoriously loves to run Solus. As Mamba is actually able to be found by Cal. Probably had his scanner up on the window, and then Cal probably found him. Either way, that's a frag in favor of the defenders. That's a lot of your utility that you're going to use for the roam clear down on the Jackal. That's also some smokes off the board. That's also one of your frag leaders in Mamba, who's been was very clutch on the defense on Jaeger, who will no longer be able to participate except through Cam. You see Cal on the fast lurk in the basement, looking to catch some players unaware as he creeps up the laundry stairs on this Ashe and this Yana. He's gonna see them on the scanner if he's able to pull it up, but looks like he's just gonna bide his time and wait a little bit as Ashe pushes down the stairs. Cal's not ready for it. Servant trying to push and find his frag. Servant unaware as well, going for the reload. Cal finds his second on the round. Nate Flicks not there on the refrag, chasing the Solus down the stairs as Solus Cal gets away scot-free, finding his second frag in the round. Finding another one onto Toaster. Just a flurry of kills from this not from the Ohio State side, the UIUC side, to put themselves in power position in this round.
all down to Nate and Zjock. And well, they are going to go ahead, or at least Zjock is going to go ahead and jump into a bathroom. There is someone, I believe, inside of Master. Yeah, there is someone inside of Master, but it's not them that they have to worry about. It's once again Ow, or not Ow, sorry, Ah and Cow, as they get a buddy ace with a 2 and a 3 respectively. Amazing work from them to just completely close out that round and shut down all of the players. In particular, massive, massive shout out to Cal. Playing on that Solus, roaming absolutely perfect. We got caught out a little bit off guard there, not entirely sure what they were doing, but they were able to win that gunfight in the end and then go all the way around the map. And it took them a bit, of course, but they were able to get another frag downstairs as well. Amazing work from those two players. Just completely, completely take it to what was left of OSU at the end there, especially, but even in the beginning, it just felt like a complete slaughter. Not much they could do. And well, 5-3 now, one round off of match point. UIUC, they're starting to dominate, unfortunately.
Yeah, UIUC really taking it to them 2 rounds in a row on the defense. And Ohio State just really, you know, kind of going to the meat grinder a little bit. You know, that, ooh, 2 drones for 1 there on the impact from Cal. So really making it work on the Solus, really trying to find these drones. As it looks like he's actually going to find the 3rd year. Yeah, that's not a good start from Ohio State to the round, having your drone economy actually slaughtered. That's all 5 drones down in the prep phase, if you look up there in the top right. So you will start this round with 5 drones, with a team that already has not shown the propensity to have amazing drone work. So, you know, starting off on the wrong foot there, you will see this defense of UIUC having players like a Pulse, like a Solus there to really take advantage of the lack of drones there and not being able to see, you know, really where these guys are. As I say that, they're kind of throwing their drones to the slaughter. They're on the site, really droning it out. Might be going for a little bit of a rush play here with the Lion and the Zofia and the Yana really posted up right here, but we'll see what they want to do. Is Yana actually looks like he's going to throw a nade through the drone hole. Actually, he's going to get an angle on the foot of Snail. And the Lion gonna gone 6, the window open, go for the angle there. Mamba able to find lore on that, jumping in the window. Cal able to find one, able to find another across the map. Just a flurry of kills. It's like a TDM in here. As we actually have the attackers in the site. Servan and Zjock are in the site. All Zjock left to do in this 1v2, he's walking in China, Cal throwing impact nades around, able to find Zjock in the flick. What just happened in that round, Tar?
Well, I'll tell you what just happened. Another buddy ace between Cow and Ah. That's the second one back to back. They have catapulted themselves to 15 kills and 12 kills respectively. I mean, the rest of the players on the side of UIUC it just can't even hold a candle, sadly. 3, 2, and 3. It's not even that they've done anything wrong. I mean, some of them have some kills certain or have some deaths certainly, but it's just been completely off the backs of Cow and Ah just taking it to them. I know you mentioned that OSU they have a more even apologize a kill distribution across the board at the end of that half, but one thing is to be said that even if it's even, you still have to get some kills period. And at least for the time being, the players on UIUC, particularly Ah and Cal, are just not letting that happen. And OSU get dominated all the way to match point. 3 in a row so far for UIUC on this half. One more, 4 in a row, and they'll take things or excuse me, they'll win this one. I don't even take things to overtime. OSU have to win 3 in a row to take things to overtime. That's not looking good for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Cal just had 27 kills between the two of them, and then 8 kills for the rest of the team. Not to put anything down on the rest of the team. You know, Snail did have that clutch C4 in the 180 games round, so these guys are serving their roles. They are not cannon fodder to the slaughter. They're allowing players like and Cal to be aggressive and get these frags because they are playing near the site. and because they are, occupying that space and making sure the attackers can't just walk in the site. As we see again here, going to AP Games, Ohio State really fast here on the clear onto landing. We got a player already in Skull. That's Servin able to find one onto Lore again with that early pick here. A minute into the round, that's going to be your Jaeger down. Not a lot of utility, but a body nonetheless. As Servin is going to sit here in the corner. Snail going to pop that Goyo in. Z-Jock found that's the Twitch down from there on the Frost. Able to find his 16th of the game. So that's 28 between him and Cal now as he falls back over to the main stairs onto his shield. These attackers from Ohio State looking a little befuddled, able to find another one of the Goyos that would have prevented them from entering the site, as you see Nateflix there on the study balk. Servant able to find another one onto Cal. Snail swing on to Servant, able to find one. Nano finding another with a Nitro. Nateflix finding one onto on the top main stairs. It's a 2v2, 1 minute 15 left on the match point. And Power, who do you think's got this in this situation?
Well, and Cow have gone down, but Nate gets caught without their gun out. So I was gonna say I favor OSU right now, but then they go and do that, and now it's all down to 1v2, and they just completely don't check that corner all the way. And what should have potentially been an easier win, considering that the top two frags were down, just gets completely shut out by both the players on Ohio just making some very silly mistakes. And well, what could have been a very interesting round turns out to unfortunately be a bit of a flop, as it is a 7-3 win in the end for UIUC as they completely dominate that second round. What was that? I think in total, it's like 6 in a row to win that out.
Yeah,
Absolutely insane performance from them.
UIUC was down 1-3 at one point, so they won 6 in a row. They won the last 6 rounds in the row to take that down. Just some really crazy stuff there. And Cal really taking over the game, able to find double-digit frags themselves. And when they needed it most, their role players or support players, Snail able to find that clutch C4 on that plant from the Ying. And then Nano and Snail able to clutch up that 2v2 in the last round. So we're going to head into a little bit of a break here. We'll catch you guys in 5 minutes here for map 2.
Wyczuwany wam beat.
Welcome back, everybody, to Midwest R6. This is our semifinals matchup between Ohio State and UIUC. UIUC taking down map 173, their map pick of Villa, winning 6 rounds in a row to take it down. And Power, what do we need to see change from Ohio State to make this a little bit of a closer map, too?
Well, we saw some very efficient gameplay coming out from them on the defensive side. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they were able to, at the very least, get that even half. It just seemed like that the way that they were playing, the style they were playing, revolved heavily around things just kind of going their way and for the players on the side of UIUC to just make mistakes, which is certainly a valid strategy to have if you're able to capitalize off of little tiny mistakes. But as soon as UIUC figured out how OSU like to play, figured out how exactly they like to approach things, they started wising up, figuring out what they needed to do, and taking it to these players. And that's why we saw them win 6 rounds in a row, because they just figured out what they were doing and shut them down. As well, the sad truth of the matter is that OSU just could not win their gunfights. And sadly, not a whole lot of strategy there. You kind of just have to win those ones sometimes. That's the fundamentals of this game, unfortunately. It doesn't matter how good you are at stratting, doesn't matter how good you are at playing the game and coming up with new ideas or whatever. If you can't shoot back, well, not going to be able to do much. But enough about the last map. Of course, we're going into this one, that being Skyscraper with UIUC starting things out on defense, where, well, do you think they're going to be able to continue their dominant streak that they've had so far in this game?
Yeah, I believe, Collegiate is defender sided, and Skyscraper being a map that not a whole lot of teams are very comfortable with is going to make it very defender sided. I would be it would be venturous to say 6-0, but I believe something like a 5-1 or 4-2 half at the very least is in the cards for UIUC. As they ban out Thatcher again, not gonna mince anything there. Just gonna go with some pretty standard bans. I would expect something like a Flores or something like a Nook, which they seem to hate given they banned it both times. Nook being very powerful, able to kind of walk on past those cams walk up places like black stairs, house stairs, and main stairs pretty much undetected. As we see again a Valkyrie ban here on the side of Ohio State. Again, an operator kind of like Villa, where if you are able to place some nitros in certain spots, gets you a lot of kills. And we will have the exact same ban set as we did on Villa with UIUC banning out Azami. So going in here with the same amount of bans, Power, who do you think? Who do you think this bans in terms of side or favors in terms of side bans?
Well, I'm one to believe that it's not necessarily who was banned because there's always going to be a ban. It's what's not banned. And that's why last game I mentioned the fact that Mira was unbanned because that leaves a very powerful operator on the board. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a whole lot of the Mira, but that is an opportunity that does exist that they could decide to bring out at any given point in time. Similarly, another operator gets banned a decent bit. Solus left on the board. We saw that a ton come out. And then just to kind of round things off, of course, we do have on the attacking side, operators like Ying that we did see have not the most amount of success coming out from OSU when they decided to run it, but it was an operator that existed that could have brought them some value, and an operator that we didn't get to see banned either time, of course, as these are the exact same bans, but didn't get played last time either, is going that we are seeing in this round is going to be what Toaster is bringing, that being the Dokkaebi. As Dokkaebi, I feel like is a very, very powerful operator, especially right now, and how heavily we know that these players like to roam. I feel like they could get a lot of value out of this Dokkaebi if they play their cards right.
Absolutely, Dokkaebi being an operator that a lot of teams undervalue here in the collegiate scene, able to call for a very long period of time, kind of rat out those defenders that are ratting out in corners with some phone calls and making their cell phones beep a little bit, putting them in bad positions, able to block out cams, which is another huge part of it. Being able to, you don't need a knock to rat up if they just don't have cams. So it allows for a lot of backstabbing plays to happen. And then also in addition to that, if you're able to find a kill, able to take advantage of defender cams as well. So making those cams flip to your side, being able to use those as well is very huge. And so Ohio State looking to take advantage of that as they open up this geisha wall. Try to put pressure here onto the warden of Nano, who's going to be sitting here in the closet. As Snail able to find the first one onto Nateflix. That's your Yana down. Mamba getting the trade onto Lore. We're going to have the Mute of Odd trying to find the refrag there. Unable to, as he will reposition into T. Goes back to the same hole. Head holes, looking to see if he can make things happen. As Snail's still standing up on this shield, the Zofia of Servin looking to maybe take that down. As Cal able to find onto Z-Jock, he starts tearing it up over there. Mamba looking to find the backside of Snail if he moves after the line call, but nothing doing right there as Mamba actually gets impacted through the floor, and Cal able to find Mamba being able to see his gadget through the floor on the scanner after he called. A very good play by the Souls. Nano being taken or taking down Toaster as Servant peeking on the shield, able to find Snail. He's in a 1v3. 50 seconds left in the round, and Power, I don't know if he I don't know if he's got it in this round.
Well, it does have one kill to their name, but not going to have any more, sadly, as Nanovirus gets the kill with the MPX. A very powerful gun indeed, just kind of having that sixth sense. They stood there long enough, and eventually the vision of where the player was in their mind came to them, and they swung and immediately got the kill. And well, with that, UIUC continue their dominance 7 rounds in a row now for counting last map, which I am, by the way. And well, heading over to Exhibition Office, they're hoping to, of course, continue that streak, make it an 8th. All eyes are on Ohio State right now to shut down and stop UIUC from taking it to them. And so far, that seems to be the easiest way to do that is by killing Ah and killing Cal, which they were able to do one round, and they had a little bit of a messy situation happen that caused that to not go in their favor. But that does seem to give them the best options considering how dominant they have been, especially on this defensive half. Well, now the question is, how do they plan on doing that? It looks like the answer is an Omaru and a Ying.
Yeah, looks like something very interesting is going to come out here from Ohio State. I know they love to rush the site, but I don't know if they are necessarily going to use an Amaro to do it. But like you mentioned, Cal able to be an absolute menace on the Solus. So I'm surprised that Ohio State didn't adjust their bans and try to ban out Solus instead of Valkyrie. Someone that they very easily could have countered with IQ, and still someone that they could very easily counter with IQ on the Solus, but refusing to bring them nonetheless, or maybe not refusing, but maybe thinking it's better to go another operator. Either way, not bringing IQ I don't think is a very great choice on the side of Ohio State. Instead, you choose to bring someone like an Amaru, where you have an LMG and that's pretty much it. So, maybe a little bit of a questionable utility there on the side of Ohio State, as Zofia looks to be on a crash course here with Solus, but the side of Ohio State with Toaster looks to get open the house stairs wall, put a little bit of pressure on the site players, maybe hopefully get them to walk into a couple of crosshairs, as Amaru is jumping in the karaoke window, looking to kind of cut off the flank as Cal's slowly walking up black stairs, not able to find the Amaru. Amaru able to find him as Cal's just scurrying away, trying to get away with his life, and he will be able to, for the time being, from the Amaru into kitchen. As Ohio State very aware of Cal's presence, making it their sole mission to hunt him down. Cal just kind of sits in the corner, waits for the inevitable peek from the players of Ohio State. Amaru looking to peek around this corner and try to find Cal. Will he be fast enough? Who will flinch first? And it will be the Amaru of Mamba. So Cal actually able to find one here onto the Ohio State player waiting in the wings for him. Will he be able to find second? Lore able to find second on Nateflix. Nano able to find Z-Jock as well. It's a 2v5 for this Ohio State side as Cal's able to get away scot-free from these clears of UIUC.
Mamba having the reaction time of a snail and decides not to shoot back after they just completely swing Cow. And Cow once again living here. Servan's just gone ahead and said, nah, I don't really feel like it, and rotated back up. But with their friend going down the lore, it's all up to them. And Snail, well, will end things out with a flawless round to just completely shut down any semblance of a push that OSU had going there. A very interesting idea of spend the entire round hunting Cow and then fail to do so because you don't decide to pinch him at all. And a lot of mistakes sadly coming out here from OSU right now. They're not looking the greatest. This is not their side. They seem to be a lot more comfortable on defense, which a lot of teams are, to be fair, but you have to be able to win on attack. And I feel bad for being hard on them, but they're just making so many mistakes. And I wish that they would do better. We've seen their potential when they play on defense. They just have to take it with them into the attacking half. But so far, they haven't won a single attacking round. It's looking real rough for them.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you have the full map to clear, you have the crossfire, you have the line calls, you have them stuck in one room. So when they're stuck in that one room, you throw no further drones, you throw one player with 0 refrag. That's the Ohio State solution that they had for that problem, which obviously was not going to work, and unfortunately led to Mamba going down, and then a flurry of kills happening across the map, and then unable to find Cal at all after they've dedicated so many resources to hunting him down. So just a pretty bad misplay there from Ohio State on not capitalizing on the misplays, or not the misplays of Cal, just the mispositioning, kind of letting himself get there and be stuck out. As Thermite, is he gonna get this wall? Nail just kind of, or misplaying the utility a little bit. Sturvin able to find Lore, Nano getting a refrag onto Sturvin. So going 1-for-1, unfortunately though, Ohio State losing those nades there, as the castle of Snail having Snail reactions there. Unaware of the player on this window, Mamba able to find a free second. What are the comms like right now for UIUC? Z-Jot going down to Nano on the site players seeming to have a little bit more success than their off-site counterparts. So UIUC in the man disadvantage with Cal and Nano up, both 3-0 and 5-0 respectively, have not died, are the frag leaders of their teams. If you wanted someone up, it would be these two as Nano finds his 6th. Mamba able to get the refrag there, his 3rd of the round himself. Ohio State finally looking like they can move it across the finish line here on an attack. And power hits all left up to Cal in this 1v2. And if there was anyone to do it, I think it'd be him.
Certainly, after the performance they showed last map, all eyes are on them. However, for the time being, a minute 20 left in the time bank. OSU have plenty of time to drone things out and try to find the location of the final ranked player of UIUC, but they just can't find them. They're holding a very tight position inside of delivery, watching into the drop as that site is completely open. Nate is above, however, trying to see if they can get something going, and Mamba's going to join them shortly to potentially drop down the hatch, as Mamba doesn't necessarily like the position they're playing inside that really tight corridor. Both players are above, and they jump right into a frostbite. He looked at it too. That's why you always pre-fire those. I'm not entirely sure how it took so long for those to get stopped, but at least in the process, there's the Pokeball from below manages to get him, and they drop down randomly. Not entirely sure what happened, but Cal is able to win out that round after some very unfortunate missteps from the attackers. As that's the 1v2 clutch in another round for UIUC.
That's absolutely comedic from the side of Cal. Just, you know, Ohio State, per most of Villa, running traps the entire time, every round, unable to find a single kill with their traps. And the one time that UIUC run traps, they managed to frostmat the diffuser. And then Solus able to capitalize below after the res with the impact made from below. And then Nate with the ill-advised drop onto Cow. And Cow able to clutch the 1v2 there. And again, Cow 5-0, and then Nano now the one picking up the slack from going 6-1, bringing back effectively a 2v4 or a 2v5 if you count. I believe it was like you like to call a buddy ace there between Cal and Nano in that previous round as UIUC moved to 3-0.
I believe Nano has, if not 2, 3 times the amount of kills that they had in the previous map. They didn't have all too many. It was the Cow and Oz show, but Al is sitting at a cool 0 and 1, so not exactly having the greatest performance, but they're letting their teammates pick up the slack. Cow, of course, trying to make a name for themselves, but Nano so far, like you mentioned that previous round, did an absolutely amazing job, and it'll be up to them to try to pull things back as we do see Cal go down immediately. No more powerful roam game from them as Servin manages to take them out. It seems like it's always Servin who's getting those opening picks. However, at least on the last map, it hardly ever translated into them really getting anything going. They got the first pick, but then what? They had to do more, and they just could not do more last map. And hopefully this time things will change. As Servin, they're already looking to try to get rid of that shield, and they miss. Oh, no, never mind. It's the one my disc. I completely forgot that those exist. But they do finally get it. It just took them all of their, charges. But it does happen in the end.
Wow, you see Snail getting cleared out of the position, deciding to run at the floor as All and Laura are able to trade back to. Now actually an even man count in what was a momentary 3v5 for the side of UIUC. So Snail getting a little frisky there on the shield, just deciding to run out Dragon Dog window onto Nate Flix's open arms, finding his first frag in the match. So you see the 3 players left up. You've got Nano 6-1, Lore actually getting a couple kills there, and Ohio State looking to take control of Geisha and 1 player out there towards the Dragon Shrine side of things. That will be Servin looking to find an opening pick here. Maybe hearing Mute crouching up on the wall. Will he walk in the site? Seeing Frost not taking the shot, able to find though. So able to find the crucial pick onto the player in T room, but Lore trading back. It's a 2v2. Lore finding some huge impact. A huge double for him on the round. Is he going to peek the feet holes and find a player? No, he believes that there is someone inside of Terrace able to shoot a drone. Get a little bit of utility destroyed there as Nano positioned here inside of Karaoke. The attackers will be posturing up towards that site. 40 seconds left on the round. They do have the necessary crossfire here onto these Ohio State players. So Ohio State hopefully here to recognize that they do have the crossfire set up. Zjock able to find a nice shot onto Nano. It's all up left to do for Lore. Lore finding one on the toaster, able to reposition back onto the T-room wall. Is he going to repeak? Zjock grabs the diffuser, able to walk into the main hall, walking into, not quite yet, maybe the T-room, trying to find the one. Decides to take the gunfight. Will he win? He will. Zjock with the clutch performance there, able to find one and then find two onto Lore. That will be Ohio State's first attacking round on the back of Zjock.
Sadly, UIUC could not win 10 rounds in a row. They stopped at 9, but 9 is still plenty of enough to get them all the way over the finish line, potentially at least, as they did guarantee this half would go in their favor. And well, OSU, they now have to make that comeback, winning 2 more in a row. But that situation was totally winnable for the players in UIUC as well. If they hadn't peaked, if Nano had stayed inside of karaoke, if we hadn't saw Lore decide to peek through the drum door, there is potential that could have gone the way of UIUC and they would have gotten their 10, but sadly they just decided they had to swing, and they swung right into the crossfire of Zjock, who completely shut them down to get their 2 kills and also end up clutching out the round, as it wasn't a 1v2 clutch necessarily, but a 1v1 clutch is still impressive nonetheless, as now, well, UIUC, they have lost the momentum. Although, not to say that they're not going to try to do all they can to steal it back, as they go right back to the site once again using the exact same lineup. The hope is that maybe you don't lose players like Cal and Snail early on to some, albeit maybe a bit too foolish of mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, going for these spawn peaks will be Cal most of the time. And as he does go for that spawn peak on the helipad, not able to find any players, as the entirety of Ohio State is on the other side of the map. So they will be starting the clear from office and exhibition over to the T-room site. As you know, Ohio State, really what they need to do to start racking up rounds is what they just did in that last round. They need to maintain the man advantage, or at least equal man count throughout most of the round. You know, you saw Cow die on that early pick to serve, and you saw Snail running out Dragon Valk into the open arms of Netflix. So UIUC will make these ill-advised aggressive plays if you simply just wait in the wings with open arms. And so Ohio State needs to replicate some of that this round, as Servan taking a fight onto the Cow, able to get away with their life, but very low HP on that 3 armor of Zofia. Cow also exchanging some damage there, going down to about 50 HP, so not a whole lot doing there. Unfortunately, not able to get the utility down is Cow, as Ohio State is able to get the Geisha wall open, looking to position some players as Nano with a tight angle, unable to find the player there on the Geisha wall. He will get away unscathed, as will that player. So, some shots just being exchanged here on the round, as you have Lore able to be found out by Mamba. That's the Lion. Nadeflex finding Snail on the shield. So that will be a 3v5, just like we said. Awaiting open arms are these players of Ohio State, staying patient, able to find these kills. Mamba getting another one onto Awe. Nadeflex wanting one on the Nano, and Servant closing out the round onto Cow. So just on cue, Ohio State staying patient, winning another attacking round here on Skyscraper.
Looking to take things back. A flawless round is one way to do it. Of course, it was off the back of a 1v1 clutch, so not technically off the back of a flawless, but still, the momentum clearly has shifted into OSU's favor. They were looking very, very desperate in the previous rounds, and now they are able to capitalize off of the mistakes that UIUC are making. That's what happened in the previous map when we saw them playing Villa. They were able to capitalize off of some big mistakes that UIUC were making when they weren't sure how exactly to face up against OSU. And now UIUC, they are continuing to make bad mistakes. It's very interesting here, as we're seeing things like players swinging very obvious angles, like players sitting in positions they shouldn't be in, not being as attentive as they should be, and just swinging randomly. It's been happening. It feels like they got a little bit too overconfident in some scenarios, and it's costing them somewhat as well. Now they are looking at potentially not being able to take this half in their favor. Now, that certainly didn't deter them last round, but they were heading to defense last round. Now they're heading to attack, a position that I'm sure they're not the most upset to be in by any means, but definitely not one that they would enjoy being in necessarily. They want to get that advantage, and at least for the time being, they are looking to not have it if they continue up the play they're currently bringing.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, really Ohio State just maintaining a lot of patience there, waiting for Cal on the flank, waiting for these UIUC players to make these ill-advised swings. And as a result, it's a flawless round. Everyone able to find their kills across the board if they just simply wait and hold angles. So, looking to repeat some of that, going for the same clear, we're at the same site, the exact same setup that UIUC have won once and on the back of a 1v2 there and lost at once on a flawless round. So Ohio State going for a much faster burn here onto the shield, onto Snail, and Snail actually able to find an impact there onto Mamba and Nateflix, doing actually a lot of damage with it, dropping both players to about 50 and 40 HP respectively. So having another shield set up here towards Drum, looking to hold on to those terrace guys. This Ace will be working Geisha Balcony with Dokkaebi. So looking to find a player unawares there as Snail's able to be flushed out of his position from the Flores Drum. So minute 30 left in the round. Mamba able to find one onto Cal. Snail trading onto Servant. Lore onto Mamba. So a flurry of kills there as Flores goes down. Snail finds his second of the round on the Nateflix. It's a 2v4 as we just mentioned for this Ohio State team. Unfortunately, not waiting for those swings. It's a 2v3. Toaster able to find one onto Frost, bringing a man back on very low HP. Snail on low HP as well. So two players that might be able to go down if a gunfight were to happen. Snail taking some shots on a Toaster. Toaster going to low HP. Snail going to reposition on here towards the Dragon Balk. Lord playing on the shield towards Drum and Power. Things looking a little desperate here for the Ohio State side. You can see a little bit of drone work done, but here Toaster actually going down through the rotate to Snail. Snail finding his third on the round. As Z-Jock just waiting patiently, waiting for these players, waiting for Autumn maybe make a mistimed swing here in the corner, but he will remain patient and not move from his position as Lore is peeking onto Z-Jock, and Z-Jock just caught in a triple crossfire there between the players of UIUC, and that's going to be another round there for UIUC as they move to 4-2, getting that half finished off the right way that they wanted to. A little bit closer than maybe they wanted to make it, but nonetheless, 4-2, a very good defensive split heading into the attack. So just got to find 3 more rounds there to push it across the finish line. And Ohio State got to feel good, at least putting it to a 2-4. Unfortunately, not a 3-3 for their side. So they're going to be moving on to the defensive side of things. They got to be pretty happy about that. So, Power, what do we got to see out of these guys here on the defense to see if they can push it across the finish line here on Skyscraper?
Well, it's just going to have to be continuously taking advantage of these mistakes. That's what a lot of teams prefer to do, honestly. I shouldn't just say it's the only strategy that OSU are doing. Heck, UIUC are doing that as well to a certain extent, but it seems to be their main battle strategy going into this. Just set up the site how they like to set things up, get things situated, and then just make sure that when the players on the side of UIUC make those mistakes, that they can very quickly go ahead and shut them down. And they've had moderate success with it. We did see them win those 2 rounds previously. A flawless one at that was absolutely spectacular. Unfortunately, as the saying goes, UIUC, they took that personally, and they completely turned things around for them at the end there. But now that they are on defense, this could be a lot closer than it was, although it was pretty close in the end. 4-2, of course, is nothing to scoff at, but we could see this going all the way to overtime potentially, or in OSU's favor if they feel comfortable on this site, or on this side in particular.
Yeah, as we see the bandit trick coming out from Servant, unable to get the initial ace charge, but able to get the second one, so maybe we'll slow down the attackers there a little bit. as he's positioned over here to the top house stairs. Will he make an aggressive play? No, he will not. He will hunt down the drone into the basement and will flee into the service, into the waiting arms of Cal on the sledge. So Servin being the opening pick this round for the side of Ohio State. Not a great start, losing the bandit, losing some of those charges that maybe could have been impactful later in the round, losing the nitro, losing the gun, not great things, all things considered. Nano finding one on the Bomba, even worse now, so losing your second nitro of the 3 that you currently have, as Nateflix looking to get aggressive, taking a fight on the Cal, nothing doing there, no shots connecting, as UIUC take a very commanding lead, able to find those 2 players with a minute 30 still left on the clock with a bunch of utility going down to those floors drones. That's both shields taken down from the floors drones of Snail. So UIUC able to take a lot of map control here. Snail waiting here on the black balcony, looking to see if he can find some players unaware here. Sight line call going out. Does spot Nateflix there on the stairs. So Frostmat being spotted out from Lore. So, like we said, the nice drone work coming out. Finding one of the Z-Jock, Cal finding one on the Toaster. Nateflix, the last one left up 1 HP, almost walking to the pre-fire, but it's going to be finding them in the crossfire. And a flurry of kills to start it, a flurry of kills to end it. UIUC takes their 5th round on the map.
Seeing a very similar position to how the last map was 5-2 instead of 5-3, which was the score line that eventually turned into that 7-3 that we saw in the first map. And UIUC, they may have lost 2, but they are absolutely taking it back as they also get a flawless round right back in the faces of OSU. This is not the greatest position for the players on OSU to be in. Feel like that it's gonna really just have to be off the back of some clutch moments from some of these players to really get them back into the swing of things. I feel like their mental might be a little bit down. We're seeing a lot of mistakes come out. A lot of things aren't going their way, even though they want it to be. I definitely feel like that the potential is there that if one player, if it's Mamba or Servant, whoever, is just able to have a very clutch moment here, this could drastically change the tide of things and get them back into that mindset of we can do this, we can win. But at least for the time being, UIUC, I feel like that if that doesn't happen or some other miracle doesn't happen, they may just run away with it and ultimately win the series 2-0.
Yeah, we saw the first time that Ohio State went around, it was a clutch performance there from Z-Jock, immediately leading into a flawless round on the attack from Ohio State. But like you said, momentum is very important here, and Ohio State need to find someone to really start that momentum back in their favor. And really, it's got to be someone like Servin. Servin's got all the experience and all the talent that they need to really, make mincemeat of this attack. But UIUC being very, very good, having a lot of gun skills themselves, it's gonna make it very hard for any of these guys to individually have a lot of effort, or individually bring it back through their efforts. So we'll see if UIUC decides to make any major mistakes on their end, like they were doing on defense with the overswing, as we see Servin exchanging gunfights here with Yana, as Nano's able to find Mamba. That's your Solus down as the first pick in the round, so not going to have any plant denial potential there from him, as Servin going down to Snail as well. That's 2 very quick picks to start the round there on the side of Ohio State. Not looking very great. You do have 3 nitros though available for the side of Ohio State, so hopefully those will come and aid them later on in the round. But in dire need of some frags will be Toaster, Nateflix, and Z-Jock, who are the bottom 3 of those categories. As you see Cal lurking up the stairs, finding another one onto Toaster. As we see Nate swinging with a shotgun, trying to find Snail. It's all left up to Z-Jock here in the T room, in the crossfire of about 4 different players. Able to find Snail though, so starting things off right, but Nano finishing things off here on the side of UIUC. And that moves things to match and series point.
Once again, another round where the two top frags, Servant and Mamba, just go down immediately on the roam game. They get shut out completely. They don't have enough support and they're not able to stay alive. And then not much that the rest of the players on OSU can do. And twice in a row now makes you think there might be a little bit of a pattern here. I hope it doesn't happen in the third. I hope they're able to continue to show the potential they have and win this one out. But sadly, I just don't really see it happening. They need to get their act together. They need to get it together now. There's no more time for delay. There's no more time that they can give up on this. They have to do it now. It's now or never, else their hopes of potentially winning this one out and taking this all the way and maybe, just maybe beating UIUC and continuing in the playoffs like so many teams want them to do, just might not happen, unfortunately. As UIUC, they're just making things oh so impossible. They're showing why they're undefeated, and they're not looking to stop that streak now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both teams, I would say, are making their own mistakes individually. Right? You see a lot of what UIUC does. They take a lot of gunfights individually. They win a lot of gunfights individually. Ohio State taking a lot of gunfights individually, losing a lot of gunfights individually. And the rounds where Ohio State's able to establish crossfires and able to use teamwork and communication to clear out these setups like they originally did in Dragon, where they were able to eventually win that round with Z-Jock on the second time that they took T-Room and Karaoke, where they got a flawless round in all those crossfires. They need to do something like that now, and Nadeflex starts things off right, taking out Cal on the alibi. That'll be the sledge down. That'll be 2 nades down there on the balcony. So it's very impactful frag there from the alibi. So we'll see. Cal has no more impact, but Toaster going down. That's a nitro down from your arcade. So not a great player to lose there, as you potentially lose plant deniability later on in the round. Ah, one tapping Z-Jock, as it sounds like they're on the mute, as Nateflix able to find Snail as well. That's the line going down with a couple of calls left in pocket. As we get a 3-3 man count here in the mid round. Nateflix deciding to take a more aggressive position here towards the Bar. You know, he's feeling it. He's trying to take some fights. Nano able to find one on the Mamba. Nateflix able to find one, maybe trying to find two, as Lore scurries away. He's holding the angle. Is Nate able to find the second one? Lore taking a little more tick damage. As Nate really feeling himself in this round power. He's really on a tear.
Overtaking Servant at least, as it's the last two. Well, now it's just Nate. As the last one left alive, the last hopes and dreams are dashed as Nano gets a quick 1-2 on the stairs to shut down, well, not only the hopes of Ohio State in this round, but also the series and also the playoffs, as UIUC continue their reign of utter dominance, not dropping a single map here in the playoffs, and manage to go all the way to the grand finals, not dropping a single map. Insane gameplay from them to be able to win this one out, and they completely showed why they earned it, only dropping 2 out of the last, I mean, how many was that at that point? Like 13 rounds? That's absolutely insane work from them.
Yeah, something like that. It was just absolute dominance after going down 1-3 on Villa. Just not really losing most of their ones, not really doing much else besides winning gunfights and winning rounds. And, you know, that's what we've come to know from UIUC, is a team that's really gifted in the frag department, a team that will win matches just by brute forcing their way in the site and finding the frags that they need to. And you see it from impactful players like the stats showed, from Cow, from from Nano, that are able to really just kind of take over games with their fragging potential. And you saw it here from Ohio State. So we might have a post-game interview here lined up from the side of UIUC for you guys, but that will be after a short little break. So we will catch you guys on the other side of it.
Cultivando Van Beats.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Midwest R6. The semifinals have concluded, and UIUC are victorious over Ohio State. So we have brought in Laura, the team captain for UIUC. We have a couple questions for him, and Power, I'll let you start things out.
Thank you very much. So, Laura, first off, congratulations for winning. It wasn't necessarily close, but it didn't seem like it was going to be based on how you guys were talking. And I just want to say, going into that match, is this the outcome you guys were expecting? Were you expecting to just kind of roll over them, or were you expecting maybe a little bit more of a fight in the semifinals?
Okay, so this is like our third time, or maybe no, fourth time playing them. We played them once in the Midwest regular season. We played them in no, maybe it's the third time. I don't remember. Whatever. We played them on the CA semis, and then we're playing them again right now on the Midwest semis. The last time we played was CA semis, and it was the same maps. Sky first actually instead of Villa because they picked our Villa, and then we picked Sky. So that went 8-7 barn burner, like down to like a 1v1, I'm pretty sure. And then we went to Villa and it was a 7-0. So I mean, Villa we're confident. If you've seen our stat, we always run Villa. It's our go-to map. I know Whitewater's gonna ban it on the finals. That's definitely happening. They always ban it against us. But yeah, we were expecting a lot closer because I heard they've been prepping for us a ton, but clearly they didn't, I guess. I mean, first few rounds of Villa went like their way, but we weren't really like synergized and stuff. And then yeah, we brought it back. So
Definitely looked like that was the case. And in the end, you were able to win off the back of some very heroic plays coming out from two of, well, dominant fraggers on your side. How were the comms? I just want to ask when you had two, I like to refer to the term buddy ace, where you had two players who get all the kills in one round. You had two of them back to back coming out there. Was it just all hype after those two rounds, or were you guys still kind of keep yourselves focused for to finish out the game?
which map are you talking about? First map, I
The first
assume?
map on Villa, yes.
Well, I mean, okay, like first few rounds, comps were like, okay, guys, what the f are we doing, right? Like, we're doing we're dying to dump stuff, getting spawn peak. I haven't even entered the building, and like my teammates have died. So I'm like, okay, so I mean, hero plays were there, sure, but then we, as a team, we helped them make the hero plays, right? So, yeah. Comps were good though. Snail was not screaming or anything, so like, yeah, comps were flowing. That's why we were able to get rounds that we needed. So, yeah.
It seemingly worked out very well for you. And just one final question before I hand it off to my co-caster, and that's going to be that obviously you mentioned that the matchup was favorable as you had played them on these maps before. And well, of course, this is what you decided to bring to the table as well, making sure that you got to pick Villa. But I guess my question would be, what exactly was your idea when it came to bringing what you guys decided to bring? Because I saw a lot of the same compositions coming out on the same site. It felt like you guys were really just sticking with the same kind of structure and changing up maybe a few pieces here or there when it came to the site you were playing, but it was mainly just a lot of the same things. Or are those just kind of your comfort picks, some operators you guys believe are powerful on every site, or was there legitimately a very well thought out strategy in terms of like, oh, these are just the best for every site that we happen to play? It's just a coincidence at that point.
Okay, so for Villa, we play a really close type of siege. We don't open angles we don't need to open. So if you look at our Villa games defense, people normally make holes on the study. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, we always close that off because if they take study, we don't want them to have the angle, but they didn't, right? So yeah, I mean, so first of all, like Cal's really good on Solus, and then so as long as that operator is up, he will be playing it. Like so it's I mean you can call it comfort, but he cooks on that operator. How many did he drop first map? Like it's like when you have a Solus on the enemy team, they're just like a mosquito, you know, they're just running around the map and they're like they're annoying. Like flank drones, they're gonna shoot it. Like a guy on cam, they're gonna know. Like so. I mean, yeah. And then the rest of us, we just chill in sight. Like I mean, I'm just the Jaeger player because we need Jaeger to like stop utility burns and stuff. And yeah, so I mean that's just how we play, I guess. So different teams play differently. So
Cool.
Absolutely. Well, Laura, congrats on your victory. So I got a couple questions for you. So knowing that Snail graduates this semester, how happy are you that you finally get to have the anchor removed from your team?
okay, but I'm also graduating, so that doesn't
What?
change anything. Yeah, I'm graduating in 3 years, so this is my last league.
Dang, well,
uh,
congrats.
We're gonna be playing T3 though after this, like me, Nano, and Cal. Obviously, we're not gonna bring Snail, so yeah. I mean, we're excited for that. Yeah. I don't know. Well, because the thing is, like, after graduating, it's only gonna be Nano and Jason or left on UIUC, right? And then they're gonna remove the combining uni rule, so Cal can't play collegiate with them, and then we don't have a good 5-man team basically on Illinois. So yeah, and so that's what we decided to go with. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can end with a win, stay undefeated in Midwest, and then leave it like that, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be awesome to win a league on your way out of collegiate. But that being said, looking forward to the finals. We know that UW is going to be your opponent, a very familiar one at that. I know you guys know each other very well. How do you feel going into the finals, going up against the likes of Boomin, Rippled, and more? Do you feel confident? Do you feel like your team needs some prep? What's the general feeling going into that?
Prep maybe, I don't know. We'll get a scrim or two. I don't know, but I mean they have been off siege, from what I've heard. Ripple has not touched the game in a while. Mort has been playing COD. I don't know what Boomin's been doing. Like I know Snail plays Rocket League with those guys, so they're pretty close. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't even know if it's a best of 3 or a best of 5, so I'm not sure how the games are gonna go. It's best of 3. Yeah. Okay. Um, I mean, I'm gonna expect Chalet is gonna be played because that's their map. That's also our map. They're probably gonna ban Villa because it's a best of 3. But yeah, I mean, look forward to it. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, it's gonna be a 3 map, like not a stomp like this or like last year. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the questions I got for you, Laura. And as a result, I will turn it over to you, let you have your moment, get some shout outs in. The mic is yours, my friend.
Shout out to my teammates except Snail. Shout out to Illini Esports. They've been supporting us. They're gonna make an article soon about us. So I'm excited for that. And shout out to you guys. Such a great production team. Um, I'm probably gonna watch the game back because I always do. Hopefully the casting, you guys had fun. I don't know. So yeah, I look forward to next week where there's gonna be the charity stream. I'm not gonna be playing, but I'll probably tune in. And yeah, the finals obviously. So I look forward to that. So
Awesome. Well, thank you, Laura, for joining in for the interview. And that'll do it for us here at Midwest R6. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the semifinals match between UIUC and Ohio State UIUC. Moving on to the finals against UW. We will see you guys in the finals next time. Catch you guys later.